Beneath the surface of every Capricorn lives a world of movement that most people never see. You carry your transformations quietly, privately, almost invisibly. While others announce their changes to the world, you have always preferred to let the results speak for themselves. But right now, there are 12 inner movements happening within you that are too significant to go unnoticed. These are not small adjustments. These are foundational shifts, the kind that change how you think, how you feel, how you relate to the world around you, and ultimately how you live. If you are a Capricorn, or if someone you love carries this sign, pay close attention to what follows. These movements are already in progress, and understanding them could make the difference between resistance and flow. Movement 1. The first movement happening inside you is a quiet release of control. Not all control, because Capricorn without structure is like a river without banks. But there is a specific kind of control you have been holding that no longer serves you. The need to manage how other people perceive you. For years, perhaps for most of your life, you have been acutely aware of how you appear to others. You have crafted your image carefully, chosen your words deliberately, managed your expressions and your reactions to ensure that the world sees exactly what you want it to see. And that was not dishonest. It was protective. But the weight of that constant management has been heavier than you realized. And now, something inside you is letting it go. You are beginning to care less about perception and more about presence. You are showing up to conversations without rehearsing your lines, entering rooms without calculating your entrance, responding to situations with your first instinct rather than your most polished one. And the remarkable thing is, the people around you are responding better to this version of you than they ever responded to the curated one. Authenticity has a frequency that people can feel, and yours is becoming clearer, stronger, more resonant with every passing day. This release of performative control is not making you weaker. It is making you more magnetic, more trustworthy, more genuinely powerful. Because real power does not need to be managed. Simply is. Movement 2. The second inner movement is a redefining of what success means to you. This one has been building for a while, maybe even for years, but it is reaching a tipping point now. The metrics you once used to measure your worth, the titles, the income, the external markers of achievement, are losing their grip on your sense of identity. That does not mean you are becoming less ambitious. Capricorn could never truly abandon ambition. But the ambition is changing direction. It is turning inward, pointing toward peace rather than prestige, toward fulfillment rather than fame, toward meaning rather than material accumulation. You are asking yourself questions that your younger self never would have considered. Questions like, what would make me feel alive, not just successful? What would I pursue if no one were watching? What matters to me when I strip away everything I was taught to want and get down to what I actually need? These questions are uncomfortable, yes. They challenge the narrative you have been building your entire life. But they are also liberating because the answers they reveal are entirely yours. Not your parents' expectations, not your culture's definitions, not the world's standards. Yours. And when Capricorn begins building towards something that is genuinely, authentically, deeply their own, the results are extraordinary. This redefinition is not a crisis. It is a graduation. You are moving from external success to internal significance, and that is the most powerful upgrade you will ever make. Movement 3. The third movement is a softening of the inner critic that has driven you for decades. Capricorn, you have a voice inside your head that is relentless, demanding, impossible to satisfy. It has pushed you to achieve things that most people only dream about, but it has also stolen your ability to enjoy what you have accomplished. No matter how much you build, no matter how high you climb, that voice tells you it is not enough, you are not enough, you should be further along, working harder, doing more. But something is changing. That voice is getting quieter. Not because you are giving up your standards, but because you are developing a new voice alongside it, one that speaks with compassion instead of criticism, one that celebrates progress instead of demanding perfection. This softer voice is not weakness. It is maturity. It is the recognition that you have earned the right to be proud of yourself, to acknowledge your own accomplishments without immediately looking for the next mountain to climb. You have spent a lifetime being your own harshest judge. In this new movement, you are becoming your own most trusted ally. And that shift changes everything about how you experience your days. Mornings feel different when you wake up as your own friend rather than your own taskmaster. Evenings feel different when you can review the day with gratitude rather than criticism. This softening does not diminish your fire, protects it, because a fire that burns without pause eventually consumes itself. But a fire that is tended with care can burn forever. Movement 4. The fourth movement is the emergence of a new relationship with time. Capricorn has always been conscious of time, perhaps more than any other sign. You understand that time is the most valuable resource, that it cannot be recovered once spent, that every moment carries weight. But the way you relate to time is shifting. Where once you saw time as a taskmaster, now you are beginning to see it as a teacher. Where once you felt time pressing against you, now you are starting to feel it opening before you. This is not about having more time. Your hours are the same as everyone else's. This is about perceiving time differently. You are learning to expand moments by being fully present in them, to slow down the rush by giving your attention completely to whatever is in front of you. And this new relationship with time is changing the quality of your experiences in ways that are hard to describe but impossible to miss. Colors seem brighter when you actually stop to look at them. Conversations feel richer when you listen without planning your response. Meals taste better when you eat without scrolling, reading, or working simultaneously. You are discovering that time is not your enemy. It never was. It was always your partner, waiting patiently for you to stop racing and start walking beside it. This movement is particularly powerful for Capricorn because your sign has often felt the pressure of time more acutely than others. The urgency to build while you can, to accomplish before it is too late. But this new perspective reveals something liberating. There is enough time, not because the clock moves slower, but because you are finally using it for what matters most. If what you're hearing feels accurate, imagine what could happen if you applied this energy intentionally for 21 consecutive days. That's exactly what the 21-day program in the pinned comment is built for. Daily guidance, focused direction, and real momentum. If you're tired of staying in the same cycle, this is your structure. Movement 5. The fifth movement is a deepening of emotional honesty, and this one may be the most challenging of all 12 for Capricorn. You have spent years building emotional walls that kept you safe, efficient, and functional. Those walls allowed you to operate in crisis without breaking down, to lead without being derailed by feelings, to endure without drowning. And those walls were necessary. They were survival architecture, designed by a younger version of you who understood that showing too much emotion could be exploited or dismissed. But now you are discovering that those same walls are preventing you from experiencing the depth of connection and the richness of feeling that this stage of your life is offering. The fifth movement is about choosing which walls to lower and which to keep. It is not about becoming an open book. That is not Capricorn's style, and it does not need to be. It is about allowing yourself to feel things fully instead of managing them, to express what moves you instead of analyzing it first, to let tears fall when they need to fall without treating them as a malfunction. Emotional honesty for Capricorn is the ultimate act of courage. It requires more bravery than any professional challenge, any financial risk, any physical endurance test. Because when you are emotionally honest, you are standing without armor in a world that has taught you to always be armored. And yet, in that unarmored state, you will find a strength that surpasses anything your defenses ever provided. The people closest to you are waiting for this. They are waiting to know the real you. The one who hurts and hopes and fears and loves with an intensity that would surprise everyone who only sees the composed exterior. Movement 6. The sixth inner movement is a reconnection with your body as a source of wisdom. Capricorn lives so much in the realm of thought, strategy, and planning that the body often becomes an afterthought, a vehicle for the mind rather than a partner in decision-making. But your body has been speaking to you lately in ways that are impossible to ignore. Tension in places that were once loose. Fatigue that rest does not fully resolve. A restlessness that is not about needing to move but about needing to move differently. These are not signs of deterioration. They are signals of transformation. Your body is asking to be heard, to be honored, to be included in the conversation about where your life goes next. And when you start listening, truly listening, you will discover that your body carries knowledge that your mind cannot access. It knows when something is wrong before the evidence appears. It knows when someone is trustworthy before the track record is established. It knows when you need to stop before your schedule tells you it is time. This reconnection with physical wisdom is changing how you make decisions, how you navigate stress, and how you care for yourself. You are beginning to understand that self-care is not selfish indulgence. It is strategic investment. A well-tended body supports a sharp mind, a steady heart, and a resilient spirit. And all three of those are things that Capricorn needs to fulfill the purpose that is calling you now. Movement 7. The seventh movement is the dissolving of resentment that you have carried quietly, perhaps for years, perhaps for decades. Capricorn remembers everything. Every slight, every betrayal, every promise that was broken, every time you were overlooked or taken for granted. You filed those memories away not out of pettiness but out of self-preservation, creating a catalog of lessons about who could be trusted and who could not. But that catalog has grown heavy. The weight of remembered wrongs is dragging on your spirit in ways that are becoming harder to ignore. This seventh movement is not about forgetting. Your memory is one of your greatest assets, and no one is asking you to erase it. This is about releasing the emotional charge attached to those memories. It is about looking at the people who hurt you and recognizing that holding on to that pain does not punish them, punishes you. It keeps a part of your energy locked in the past, unavailable for the present, inaccessible for the future. And you need that energy now, Capricorn. The path ahead requires everything you have, and you cannot afford to leave pieces of yourself scattered across old battlefields. Forgiveness in this context is not about the other person. It is about reclaiming your power from situations that no longer deserve it. It is about freeing yourself from contracts you never signed but have been honoring through your resentment. When you release this and the seventh movement is already in progress whether you realize it or not, you will feel lighter than you have felt in years. And that lightness will carry you further than any amount of determination ever could. Some people watch, others transform. If you want to be in the second group, the 21-day guide in the pinned comment gives you a clear step-by-step process aligned with your sign. This isn't about waiting, it's about moving. Movement 8. The eighth movement is an awakening of generosity that goes beyond material giving. Capricorn has always been generous in practical ways, providing for family, supporting loved ones financially, showing up with solutions when others bring only problems. But this new generosity is different. It is the generosity of time, of attention, of emotional presence. You are learning that sometimes the most valuable thing you can give someone is not advice or money or solutions. Sometimes the most valuable thing is your undivided attention, your willingness to listen without trying to fix, your presence without agenda. This shift is transforming your relationships in ways that surprise you. People who have known you for years are responding differently, opening up more, trusting you with parts of themselves they have never shared before. And you are discovering that this kind of giving, this emotional generosity, fills you in a way that material giving never quite did. There is a reciprocity and deep connection that operates on a different currency than anything you have experienced before. This movement is teaching you that your greatest resource is not your discipline, or your intelligence, or your endurance. It is your capacity for genuine human connection. And as you allow that capacity to expand, you are becoming the kind of presence that changes rooms, that calms storms, that makes people feel safe simply by being there. This is a gift that has always lived inside you, Capricorn. The eighth movement is simply bringing it to the surface. Movement 9. The ninth movement is the emergence of a creative impulse that feels both unfamiliar and deeply natural. You may have noticed it recently, a pull toward something artistic, expressive, or imaginative that does not fit neatly into your usual categories of productive activity. Perhaps it is a desire to write, to paint, to play music, to garden, to cook with more intention, to arrange your living space in a way that reflects beauty rather than efficiency. Whatever form it takes, this creative impulse is not a distraction from your path. It is part of your path. Capricorn has always been stereotyped as the practical, no-nonsense sign. But that stereotype misses something essential about your nature. Beneath the discipline lives a deep appreciation for beauty, for craftsmanship, for the satisfaction of creating something from nothing. This ninth movement is reconnecting you with that part of yourself, the part that creates not because it must, but because it wants to. And in allowing this creative energy to flow, you are accessing a source of joy that has been largely untapped. The joy of creation without expectation, of expression without judgment, of making something beautiful simply because beauty matters. This movement is particularly healing for Capricorn because it operates outside the framework of achievement. There is no summit to reach, no deadline to meet, no standard to exceed. There is only the pure, uncomplicated pleasure of bringing something into existence that did not exist before. And that pleasure, Capricorn, is food for your soul. Movement 10. The 10th movement is a growing awareness of the spiritual dimension of your life. Even if you have never used that language before, something is expanding beyond the physical, beyond the material, beyond the logical frameworks that have guided you for so long. You are feeling drawn to questions that have no practical answers, to mysteries that cannot be solved, to a sense of wonder that your younger self might have dismissed as impractical. But your wiser self knows better. This spiritual expansion is not asking you to abandon reason. It is asking you to expand beyond it, to recognize that there are ways of knowing that exist outside of evidence and analysis, that there is a wisdom and stillness that cannot be achieved through effort, that there is a peace available to you that does not depend on circumstances being perfect. This 10th movement is perhaps the most personal and private of all 12, because it touches the innermost part of who you are. It is happening in the quiet moments, in the space between sleep and waking, in the sudden tears that come for no apparent reason, in the unexpected feeling of being connected to something vast and invisible. Do not dismiss these experiences, Capricorn. They are not signs of emotional weakness or mental fatigue. They are signs of spiritual awakening. And for someone who has spent a lifetime building in the material world, the discovery that there is an immaterial world equally worthy of your attention is nothing short of revolutionary. Movement 11. The 11th movement is the formation of a new relationship with solitude. Capricorn has always been comfortable alone, but there is a difference between being alone out of habit and choosing solitude as a practice. In this 11th movement, solitude is becoming sacred to you. It is no longer just the absence of company. It is the presence of yourself. You are discovering that time spent alone, truly alone, without distractions, without screens, without tasks, is among the most productive time you have ever spent. Not productive in the way you usually define it, but productive in a deeper sense, the kind that produces clarity, calm, and connection with your own inner wisdom. In these moments of chosen solitude, you are hearing things you could not hear before. Your own desires unfiltered by obligation. Your own truths uncomplicated by the opinions of others. Your own rhythm uninterrupted by the demands of a world that is always asking you to move faster, do more, be more. This movement is teaching you that the answers you have been seeking outside of yourself have been inside you all along, waiting for you to get quiet enough to hear them. And as you honor this solitude, as you protect it and prioritize it, you are building an inner sanctuary that no external circumstance can disturb. This is perhaps the most Capricorn of all 12 movements because it is about building something. But what you are building now is not a career or a reputation or a financial portfolio. You are building inner peace. And that is the most valuable structure you will ever create. Movement 12. The 12th and final movement is the most powerful of all. It is the moment of self-acceptance that everything else has been leading to. Every release, every redefinition, every softening, every awakening, all of it has been preparing you for this single transformative realization. You are enough. Not when you finish the project, not when you reach the goal, not when you earn the recognition. Right now, as you are, with all your imperfections, all your unfinished business, all the areas where you still feel you fall short. You are enough. Capricorn, this is perhaps the hardest truth for your sign to accept, because your entire identity has been built on the premise that you must always be striving, always improving, always becoming more than what you currently are. And that drive is a beautiful thing. It has built empires, literal and metaphorical. But it has also kept you from ever fully arriving, from ever fully resting in the satisfaction of who you already are. The 12th movement is not asking you to stop growing. It is asking you to grow from a place of wholeness rather than deficiency, to reach for the next level not because you are not good enough where you are, but because growth is simply what you do. This is the shift from desperate climbing to joyful ascending, from running away from inadequacy to walking toward expansion, from building to prove your worth to building because creation is your nature. When you accept yourself, fully and unconditionally, you do not become complacent. You become free. Free to create without fear, to love without reservation, to live without the constant pressure of needing to be more. And in that freedom, Capricorn, you will discover that the most extraordinary version of yourself was never a destination. It was always who you were. You have two options after this video. close it and hope things shift, or decide that the next 21 days will be different. If you choose the second, the structured 21-day transformation aligned with your sign is waiting in the pinned comment. The energy is already moving, the only question is whether you are.